Harium.
Yes, sir.
In the last class, the key point which you had told was the strong creates an environment wherever they go and influences the others along with them. And the weak always needs an environment to act. That is one. And the second point was for the Rajasic and Tamasic, they will be punished not for their action, but they will be punished by their own action. A time comes when the action itself stops. Whereas in case of a Sattvic, he is able to continue with his path towards the truth. In this connection, I was requesting you whether we can consider the concept of aggressively or passively good or bad. So you asked me to remind you about it.
All right. So I remember making a statement that the strong create an environment wherever they go, and they influence the Mahat around them.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis, the weak are influenced by the environment or the Mahat around them. So to this, you are asking, can this be compared to an aggressive person and a passive person?
Yeah, aggressively good or bad?
Yeah, an aggressive person in generic.
Yeah.
So you can, but what's the need to connect there? You can say, if you say that an aggressive person, because he operates, now the term aggressive in the context means one who operates from the level of the
intellect,
the buddhi, the intellect. And a passive person, he operates on the manas, the emotion. So, and if you look at the proportion in a society, the aggressive are far lesser in number than the passive because of the sheer development of the human intellect. Now, that being a proportion, that being a fact, it would be not wrong to say it's the aggressive that rule the passive. So it's the aggressive that go about defining the trends, the society, the norms. They are the trendsetters, the leaders, they influence the society, then being influenced by the external environment. Okay. So it's the aggressive that influence the passive. Secondly, bifurcating the aggressive into the good and the bad, the aggressive good have an edge over the aggressive bad. Now that's a question you all got to think about it and come back. Next class, perhaps we can take up this for a finer scrutiny. Given that aggressive good, this is a question, given that the aggressive good and the aggressive bad have the same quotient of the intellect, still the aggressive good is superior to the aggressive bad. How? Explain. Repeat. Gayatri ma, repeat.
Given the aggressive good or bad intellect is the same, aggressive good is superior to aggressive bad. How? Explain.
Given that the aggressive good and the aggressive bad have the same quotient of intellect. Same quotient, not same intellect.
Okay,
Same quotient means if I'm giving 50% intellect to the aggressive good, I'll give the same 50% intellect to the aggressive bad. Okay. But then, in spite of that, it's the aggressive good that is superior. If I can't give unequal comparison and say superior, I can't give 60% intellect to aggressive good and 30% to aggressive bad. Obviously, the good is more superior because you're given more strength there. You can't, that's unequal comparison. But when you're comparing, give them same strength and then examine it. Okay, that's the question. So ponder over it. What could be the reasons why the aggressive good rules over the aggressive bad? But Hariji, as you said that yes, we could say that the aggressive influence the environment, the passive are influenced by the environment, the condition. That's what passivity, in fact, we define as. Passivity is someone who's influenced by tradition, culture. They heed a lot to all that tradition, culture, norms, superstition, beliefs, faiths. They don't question them because they just follow. Oh, my father used to do so, I will do it. Oh, it is, you're told to do this, I'll do it. You are just blind. You're just influenced by customs and customary traditions and that which has been passed on to tradition. You don't take a fresh perspective and question and say, is this relevant? What is its relevance, if at all it's relevant? That part of intellect is absent. So the majority of people are conditioned. Passive people. You know, a close relative of ours are going through the phase of getting into a marriage. There's an alliance that both the families like each other, bride and the groom, to be bride and the groom, they all like each other. The families are happy. But everything is seemingly hanging in a balance because they want to take opinions of some pujari, whether this will match to that and that will match to this. And if it matches, then we'll go ahead. They have met each other so many times. The families have seen each other, visited homes. Everything seems fine. Now everything's in a balance because pujari has no time. They're waiting for a lot. It is not that you go and knock at his door, get an appointment. You have a lottery. You have a lottery to get an appointment and don't know when that lottery is going to come. So both the families are praying, hope my lottery comes, to get an appointment with the pujari and then pray that pujari will say, okay, I think this is a perfect match. You go ahead and get married. I thought I will call the pujari and give a tight whack to that idiot. You fellows are just abusing the goodwill and the faith people show on to you all. And no disrespect, please. I have no hatred or animus to them. It is called outright abuse. Don't tell me some pundit out there who is going to look into my stars and planets and some palmistries and some numbers and figures and going to tell me that I'm going to live happily with that person rest of my life based on those factors which I don't even know they exist. How I live harmoniously depends on whether I operate on my feelings. Am I an emotional person or I operate on my intellect? It depends on the free will and how I have matured as a human to deal with my life partner, not on the palms or streaks on my palms or the stars or the planets that don't know they exist or not, or the figures and numbers and timings that they have created. And that also they call it as a Shastra. Passive people will fall a prey. And since the majority of humanity are passive, they are tossed by the reckless, hideous, unintelligent, so-called schools of thought which are influencing society. I got so annoyed when I heard that. It all don't tell me these two families and the little young ones are full of anxiety. Don't know what the pujari will say. When will we get lottery appointment? Can you imagine that? Okay, I can't fathom that. Thanks to your madness, they are surviving. It's a flourishing business, flourishing practice. Thanks to your passive madness, you are not using your intellect. For God's sake, you have got an intellect to think for yourself. Don't fall a prey to these systems that set into motion. It's an utter abuse. I'm not saying I'm not saying to reject them. I'm only saying take it and question it. Just question it. Give an independent thought. You may still go by what they say. I would still go by what they say, but I would question every walk of the way. It's like I walk into a clinic. It's an area of my ignorance, but I don't have to swallow every pill or every prescription that is coming my way. I can always ask the doctor, doctor, what do you think is this medicine? Does it have any side effect? Why should I take for so many days? Is there anything I can try? I'm just clarifying so that I understand. I'm not questioning your authority. I hope you understand me. And if you have that independent inquiry, you will not fall a prey to anything because on blind practices. That is what a passive person is influenced by the environment. An aggressive man will never be influenced by the environment. Will never. He's a master. He will control everything. He defines the world. He is not influenced by anything external. Again, I'm not being disrespectful, nor am I bulldozing, nor am I being arrogant. I'm being very upright, yet very certain that you should not be defined by all these factors which go punctuating and defining your life. Please don't. You are a master. And that what makes you a chef d'oeuvre, a masterpiece of creation, is this intellect. And aggressive good is the master of all. And what makes your intellect aggressive is this wisdom. It makes you rational. And when your intellect is used and employed in the interest of the larger good of the society, then it becomes good. When I use the same intellect for my own selfish purposes, it is termed aggressive bad. Bad. So you should use your wisdom or your manipulative, thoughtful nature to advance the good of the society, not for your own selfish purposes. If at all people use their manipulative skill, they're all the time thinking, what can I do? What can I not do for myself? So that goes with reference to the first element you have connected to what was said. The second you said is the Rajasic and Tamasic people are punished by their own actions, not for their actions. It is not necessarily applicable to Rajasic and Tamasic people. I would say every individual is rewarded by his own action, whether you're rewarded or you're punished. It is your own action that rewards you and punishes you. It's not that because I'm doing something good, you come and pat my back and say, I think you're doing extreme good, I want to help you out. It's not you helping me out or I helping you out. It is the sheer cause, which is your own actions, that creates an environment which produces results in the larger good, or it's my own actions that creates an environment for my own downfall. It's not that you are instrument for my growth or I am instrument for your growth. No, it's not that you can't say, I can't claim that I'm helping in your spiritual evolution. How can I help you? You can choose to evolve or devolve. It's your choice, isn't it? And if you evolve, it's your effort. And if you think this knowledge and this interaction has played a role, it's your gratitude. You will look back with gratitude and say, I bow down to this knowledge that has helped me evolve. But I would say it's your effort that has helped you evolve. Because with all this knowledge, you can still stagnate, isn't it? You are not putting in effort. What can I do about it? So I will not take any credit. So it is your own actions that rewards you or punishes you. And that's applicable to Rajasic tamasic and sattvic. So you don't have to classify it there in that context. Okay, Hariji?
Okay.
Right. But think about the question I had given in the context. We'll take it up afresh when we come back. And before we take the enter the text, we'll take it up first. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Ready, Garu?
Pranam Guruji, once again, in context with that, I just take a minute of time. Like, as you rightly said, that we are all lives, we are being blindly depending upon the rituals and the practices of this pujaris, this astrology. I just come across about 10 days back an incident where the family pujari or astrologer for 30 years has given a feedback of same alliance aspect of it. And he has given such a challenging outcome where he says the moment something happens and something is going to happen, so which you can't recover. Then people got scared and what should be done. Then he has given a compensatory acts, what you should do it. So when the matter has come to me, I was saying that from where the gentleman has read that and how he is able to forecast the future of that. And then I said, let's go as a doctor, we go for a second opinion. I said, let's go to the second opinion. And these gentlemen, as you said, that it takes so much of time, about a week time it took it for read, understand, whatever it may be. And he come back saying this is absolutely positive, just go ahead. He's given a totally opposite opinion. Then the people got into further confusion because they got so influenced about the negative feedback because they're still inclining that something will go wrong, but he is not going carried away with the positive information which you got into that mind. Then again, you have to go back to a third opinion because it's like a democratic way of choosing your choices and not by beliefs and situations and spirituals. The thing is, the third person has given it again positive. Now you're comfortable saying that you have two positives and one negative. Really, it gives that all these people are read the same shastras, same panchangams, same thing, but their interpretation, their wisdom of understanding the subject, how to correlate is absolutely.
Please remove the word wisdom. It doesn't fit in that context.
No, I can say that I'll replace with that the intellect what they possess.
Their ignorance. Not even intellect, their ignorance.
And it's really mockery, Guruji.
What they do, sir, is, what they do very successfully, they've planted fear in your minds.
Yes.
And you are dancing to their tunes. I will fall at their feet first and then sit and challenge them. You know, this is what Adi Shankaracharya walked the length and breadth of the country in propagating the Advaita school of thought. And he had to challenge other schools of thought and he had to get into an argument, debate. I am happy to sit in an argument and debate with them, first taking their prostrations and blessings. I am not in arrogance with them. For God's sake, you got to serve the community in the right way, not to mislead them. And I think what you're saying is just a tip of the iceberg, sir. So much is going on out there. And all of us are dancing to it.
Yes.
Sorry, sir, I interrupted you. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, nothing, Guruji. I think in the end of the day, our emotions falls to the prey of those people's behaviors and tactics and the thing. And end of the day, everything is commercial oriented. And you pay a little more money to them, I think that your jatakam will be changed to your tunes and to your understandings. That's for sure. Even that I observed many times.
Yeah.
Thanks, Guruji.
You know, we just chanted one doha, no? 21st doha, which says, Jag sake to jag kabira. Jag, wake up. Jag sake to jag. These masters are appealing, but it's all falling on deaf ears. You know, a few of us on the screen, if we are committed, we are enough to influence the world. Enough. More than enough workforce I have here. If each of you becomes an ambassador of this truth, live by it and keep influencing the society in your own way, believe me, it will start creating a ripple effect. It will be a tsunami no sooner. The problem is you're not convinced. You still fall back on traditions and cultures and faith and systems. And how can I question it? It has been age-old tradition, no? You know, I've seen that many a time, Let's say the maid doesn't turn up a day. And I realized that my mom was not well at the day. And we were not in a position to be there at home. And I called her and she said, the maid didn't come, And she still said, I'm exhausted. I said, what did you do exhausted? Because she didn't need to do anything. No, I had gone and do, in Telugu, they call Wakilstan. They have to kolam podnu, front of the house, muggu they call, every morning ritual. How can I not do that? So what the world will come to an end if you don't put kolam? You are having fever, coughing, the cold, and in this weather, you expose yourself and you spend half an hour cleaning the thing and then putting kolam and think, what would happen? No, how can we not do that? You can't think. I hope the situation should not come. If she's in a stretcher, also she wants to get up and go back to the stretcher. Madness, I don't know. How can I put sense into people? Something happens right from the clerk to the prime minister will come and endorse it. So the whole world will watching you. Some drama, tamasha is going on, a big thing. You need to spread the principles, not put up statues all over the world. You want to spend millions of dollars putting up statues? What value? You got a tourist spot you're creating in the name of spirituality? If you want to recall a great saint, spread their values, spread the principles, put up institutions which can teach their principles, not putting up statues. Right from the clerk to the prime minister is saying, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Come on, there is no awareness. It just grieves my heart. I'm not venting my frustration out. It just grieves me. I feel sorry where the priorities are. So, having vented my frustration, I'll move on. Now, the last, not at all. Please don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying hope there are some ears that are lending to my concerning thoughts. It may not matter at all. You may say, sir, it's your concern. That's your problem. It's something very serious. We all should stand up and do something about it. So the last doha, we said, easily traversable is the Guru's path. Your conduct is crooked. Can we have that for a moment, Gayatrima? Easily traversable is the Guru's path. Your conduct is crooked. O fool, you do not know how to dance, but you complain the unevenness of the stage. So if you recall, we said that the easily traversable is the Guru's path, is the path of the Shreya. Just a quick recap, the path of the Shreya, yes, ma'am, which is to uphold your conscience, to follow the path of your conscience. Shreya is to do good, is to lead a life of truthfulness. You live a life of satyam. The definition of satyam is being truthful, is when you uphold your conscience. There's a beautiful saying. It said, it is better to affront the world. It is better to affront the world while serving your conscience than to affront your conscience in trying to please the world. I repeat, it is better to affront the world while serving your conscience. Mark the word, so beautiful coinage of words. It's better to affront the world while serving your conscience than to affront your conscience in trying to please the world. Srinaji, what does the word affront? It's too big a word for me to explain, sir. What does the affront mean?
Pranam Guruji, I hope you're doing well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes.
It's to, easiest way I can put it is not to combat, that's the wrong word, but to face the challenge of it, of the situation.
Is that the exact meaning of affront?
It is to face it, to face the
Okay.
consequence, face it. Yeah, that's the way I see it as. Yeah.
What is the dictionary meaning, RM? Kashish, what does affront mean?
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om.
I've always understood affront to mean as offend. Like if you need to offend other people, upholding your truth or your values.
That's a closer to the word affront. Yes, RM? Yes, Kashish. Yeah.
An action or remark that causes outrage or offense, Guruji.
Correct. Right. So yeah, if you take that meaning, Sriji, so the quote says it's better to affront the world while serving your conscience. And that's what I did when I said what I had to say, because it will be killing my conscience to silently sit and watch what nonsense and madness is going on. I can't. You may sit and accept because you believe in it, but my conscience will not permit taking the place I have taken, which is to teach the truths. And this is what the Shastra is saying. And I can't keep quiet, not with an outrage or with disrespect, but with concern to mend the matters. It's just to present the facts of life and take a stock, and you can take and choose what you want to do. You may still want to follow that blindly. That's your choice. I have to make noise because hopefully somebody will hear it out. You said that. So it is better to affront the world while serving conscience than to affront your conscience and trying to please the world. This is the royal path. And it's never easy. And that's why I said it is the aggressive good or the real strong who are convinced in the truths. They will stand up against the Mahat, the totality, because they have the capacity, they have the strength and conviction. But the weak are influenced by the prevailing conditions. Hello,
So what if you, can I ask you a question on this? So what if you affront, everything is based on what you believe is, what you're anchored on is right or wrong, right? In this particular example you've given. Now I could hear your personal prejudices against people who read the horoscope and come up with numbers, and it's interpretation of math, right? In their mind. Now, my late father used to be a firm believer, and I used to have arguments on that, but he was a firm believer, right? And I can't take that away. So people have anchored themselves to beliefs, much like your belief on scriptures. And it's an interpretation of the scriptures.
I would, if I could interrupt,
Sure.
Sorry to say, it's not a belief. Belief is something in unknown. Here is a strong, logical, rational, intellectual conclusion. That is a hypothesis based on certain calculations, and it's sheer coincidence.
True, wrong choice of word. I take that back. But let's say, you know, a lot what has been taught is you attach yourself to the higher cause. What you may think is a higher cause may not be somebody's higher cause, right? For example.
Yes.
So that's where I'm saying the whole question, it's a questionable concept of what you think is right. You know, everybody has their right or privileges based on their intellect to say this is what is a higher cause. And this is what I feel I'm doing good. Somebody else may look at it and say, oh, that's not good enough. I think you can do more. That's their judgment. So that's why I was trying to get across to say, okay, if you anchor yourself in this particular example to what you said is a front with positive is always going to win, I'm not so sure. What if you take an example that you front with a negative? Because most often the world, the examples in the world are the negative ones, which are prey to therefore easier following, seems to be winning. And you may have a cyclical path. And I'm questioning that whole thought. That's all. Now, you could say in the end, the good will vanquish the evil. I get that.
I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying good will vanquish the evil or whatnot. I'm only saying the passive are the majority, as I've said.
Correct.
They are creating systems and majority are falling a prey to it. I'm only appealing to intellect and saying, question everything, my dear. Don't accept because it is prevailing or it has a certain tradition or longevity to it. That doesn't make it any more real. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking of a higher cause or good or bad, or what you think, what you don't think. It's up to you. What you do is right. But if you have a certain thought, check for yourself, is your conscience supporting it? Is there, and if there's truth in it, your conscience will support it. That's all. Anything that is blind and superstitious, you become very rigid. You're not adapting yourself to various situations. And your conscience certainly will not support it. In fact, your own community, your own family, your own society, you are not accepted in your own home for your own childish belief systems you've got. It creates a rupture within the family because you're not flexible enough. You're not adaptable enough. What are you doing, man? I want to do this. You for everything and anything, you get into that kind of an approach. And is it right to do or not? Can you use your head and decide, is it right to do or not? Why do you have to resort to all those kinds of things? I face case studies. People come and explain these challenges to me. So I'm only trying to not put anyone into that shoe. I'm only trying to tell this is what is happening. So you've got to take that assessment, clear assessment, and realize.
See, I look at it quite differently, if you permit me. So I know enough people who follow the methodology of, in this particular example, horoscopes, of following leaders who interpret this. And I've often found in those situations is I am, as an individual, confused on what decision to make. You know, life is all about making choices. And so you come to a corner and you make a choice, which is a decision-making process. Some people are good at it, some people are not good at it. So if I'm the latter, I say, you know what? I don't want to make a decision. And so I have a belief and a faith system on this particular person. It's like going to a temple. Some people take solace and say, the Lord has told me and this is the path I'm going to take, right? Much like that, somebody may go to an astrologer, somebody may go to a parrot reader, somebody may go to a tarot reader, somebody may go to a Reiki. I don't know. So people use this as their own, what I call the word, anchoring themselves to a better place in their mind, because it's their conscience and the intellect, which is the toggle which they're having. And then this third person makes a decision for them, which they're very, very happy and to follow that. Because if it goes wrong, I can blame that. If it goes right, I feel good. Either way, I'm in the clear. So I think it is very difficult because it's individuals we're talking about. I don't think it's a belief system. I think it's individuals trying to make at life's intersections a choice at that point of time, and they're unable to make a choice.
Because you
So
are conveniently surrendering to your ignorance. And you are happy to live in that ignorance thinking that's how life should be. You're not choosing to wake up and come out of it. And all we are trying to do is Jag sake to jag Kabira. I am only surrendering to Kabira. Jag sake to jag. Wake up to the realities. There is a higher realm of operation. I can choose to be indecisive and say it is not my thing and go and do what blindly say. Sir, I either follow blindly what doctor says or take a medicine, a subject study and become a doctor myself. These are not the two extremities. I'm saying use your intellect and question everything that's practiced or prescribed. Or I don't need to become a doctor and devote next 10, 15 years of my life to understand medicine, to understand what pill and what to and what not to. No. Nor should I blindly pop in everything that is prescribed. These are the two extremities the society is in. I'm saying the middle part, the medium you got to take. There will be areas of ignorance, but the least you can do is rationalize with it, man. What's wrong with that? Because you don't have an intellect, nor do you have a methodology, nor is anybody telling you how to develop your intellect. You're just comfortably, when I say you, I don't mean you, sir. I mean the humanity at large. They're comfortably sitting in their ignorance and blindly surrendering to all these prevailing practices, taking that as a license to carry on what they're doing is right. And then say, if it works, it works. That's what life is. You're taking a chance. And then you are very easy to blame, as you say, if it works, it's luck. Otherwise, it's bad luck. That's not how life should be.
So let's take a very simple, I'm not even going to the concept of horoscope. People have good hours, whether you believe it or not. Rahu Kalam is what is known.
I don't.
You may not.
There were people it's not a question of believe or not. There were people who didn't want to come for the Gita. We used to have Gita classes at a particular time, once a week. The Guru is talking once a week and you want to attend, you like the Guru, you understand the importance of the Gita. Rahu Kalam, sir, I can't come. I said, you will not be allowed for the classes. Mentally, I told myself, you're unfit for this knowledge. No, same Rahu Kalam, accident happened. You have to go to a hospital. Doctor says, right now, take him to the theater. If at all you are in your senses, and you say, doctor, what is the time now? It is 6:10. Oh, doctor, can we wait till 6:30? I think that's the right time. A Rahu Kalam goes off and then I can be allowed to cut through and operated on. Doctor says, man, I don't think you have the time luxury of 20 minutes. I need to cut you open now. I think serious internal damage has happened. I can see it. You are in the deathbed. Would you still say Rahu Kalam? Your Kalam has come. That's what it means. Forget Rahu Kalam. I am not against anything, sir. I am just standing up boldly and questioning everything. Again, I say, I humbly bow down to all the systems. This is given for those who cannot think. And I am trying to talk to people who can think. That's your prerogative. Please exercise that. That's all I'm saying. If I don't want to think, I go back to the level of an animal. A cattle cannot think that it is walking on the highway, on the center of the road. It cannot think for itself. Nor can the cowherd who is behind the cattle also can think. Both are same category. He also doesn't realize. He's also walking with the stick with the 10 cattle ahead of him in the center of the highway, not knowing the chaos that's going on. So you pull the window and say, hey, useless fellow, put the cattle aside, Dad. Hey, whole traffic is jammed. Don't you have sense? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he'll run and he'll push the cattle to the side. That much brain that fellow doesn't have. That's all I'm saying. I'm appealing to the dormant potential intellect. Wake up, not me. Jag sake to jag I'm surrendering to that line today. I've fallen in love with that line, Sriniji. No, there's we can have a very healthy and open discussion, but I think we need to move on. And I hope you respect where I'm coming from. I deeply respect your. It's not personal, but I can understand. I respect your observations or sentiments. I know it's not personal, and I'm neither being personal. In fact, it's not to bring what Vinay thinks about it. It is very difficult. It's very easy rather to bring my own opinion. It is not what I personally feel. It is trying to convey the teachings in the text. So you've got to be extremely objective and bring out the truth. It's not what I personally feel. I sometimes have to speak the truth, which I may not be able to live it, but I know that's the truth. There's a long way for me to practice it, but I know that's the truth that has to be spoken. Therefore, it's being spoken. Okay, sir. I'll wait for your call.
Yeah, I mean, in the world of data science today, I would much rather say if there is a belief system for 2000 years, I'm using Rahu Kalam, I'd much rather say, here are 1,000 points which started on Rahu Kalam, and here are 1,000 stuff which did not start at Rahu Kalam. What would the success rate? And you could say it's belief, it's coincidence. I'd much rather go there versus anything else. That's all my question is. And not to say I question it, that's all. I'm not saying I'm a believer in horoscopes, but I'm saying there are enough people who were.
Actually, in effect, we are saying the same thing. I'm also saying this question. You're also saying question. In spite of you may follow it or not, that's subjective. But question it. One day you will have the strength to say, let me see what will happen if I don't follow it. And you realize nothing will happen.
I probably will not have the conviction to do it. My own son's going to get married. We have contacted. He said, this is the right time and I'm going to follow it. It may be an inconvenient time for us, but that's the way I'm going to do it because I don't have the data science to go against it today. Right? That's
why I said the aggressive are far few number. I've already set the tone in the very beginning of the answer. So categorize yourself where you belong. And it's not personal. I'm just being factual. What is the society? And to what extent are we operating on intellect? To what extent are we operating on emotion and all that sentiments? It's subjective. It's meant for your own assessment and take a stock of your own personality. Okay, sir. I'm afraid I have to leave it at that. Okay, Setuji.
Hari Om Guruji. I just wanted to share something very relevant on the discussion we have. See this for a long time I have invested in some properties and I was not aware of Vastu Shastra initially. So something which came very cheap and there are no bidders and lying vacant, I thought why not? I had only that much money and I invested. Then people used to wonder. They said you are buying something which no one is buying. I said, for me, it is fine. It's coming in my budget and it is this thing. Later, I made it a habit to buy such things because they are all available at a very low price, industrial plots or residential plots. I did study the whole Shastra. Then I also realized it is more a scientific one on ventilation, lighting and all that, rather than it is on superstition. Because see in South India, in Tamil Nadu, south facing is very good. Here east facing, north facing is good. So then even the house where I dwell, I am for the last 21 years, there were no takers. It was like a booth bungalow and it was facing the street and no one was coming. And I took it and made some rectification, possible rectification, and I'm very happy. So, but when I share the same thing, and I also I sold them people who questioned those properties at a very high price to the same people, my neighbors. And I know many places where there is a MLA colony in Hyderabad where everything was under premium. There was one plot which no one was buying, leftover. Ultimately, since that is the only one leftover, people paid a premium and purchased because they wanted it in that area. So this, I still agree it is a science created with a different purpose. Because when sunlight comes, germs will be killed, you will be healthy. It is ventilation and sunlight. That is what I feel. And I have visited some Vastu experts. They themselves are living in, dealing in not in wrong places. They don't follow for them because it is their profession. So just I wanted to share.
Right, sir. Thank you. Yes, Ji. Yes, Hari Ji.
Yeah, I know some cases where the parents have delayed medically the delivery time of the lady so that the child could be born with the right nakshatram, endangering the mother's health. They medically delayed it for a couple of hours.
Sad. To what length we carry our stupidity, I don't know. To what length? That's what I suppose, the famous Tyagaraja Kirtana, Chakkani Raja, Margamulundaga, Sandula ye Doravo Manasa. If you know that song, what it means, Chakkani Raja, Margamulundaga. What that initial line of that famous Kirtana, what it says is, oh mind, when the spacious royal park is available, oh mind, when the spacious royal park is available, why should you take to these bylanes? Sandula means bylanes, narrow bylanes. Oh mind, why are you going to this? This is the crooked path which Kabirji is saying. Why should you resort to a devious path instead of the royal path of salvation? So if you have the eyes to see it, you see it. It's difficult to lend that inner perception. And I'm not saying it is right or wrong. It's difficult to even lend your perception to me or anybody for that matter. But it's something which you have to quote this knowledge, quote this wisdom for years. We are trying to connect with these great men in the scriptures to try and gain their perception. And it's not easy to understand them. Because of their elevated stance, you have to do a lot to attune to their perspective and see what they are saying. For that, we must at least give the benefit of doubt that there is some truth in what these men are saying. Just like I have been sold to certain practices and belief systems, I must be very open to receive what they are saying. And if you invest your time and energy, you will be able to appreciate the point. It's not easy. All right.